Breaking, Yulong fighting for his life after tragic crash, Mei Mei Cries, please wake up. It happened in seconds. A blur of lights, a sudden screech, and then, silence. The night that was supposed to be another ordinary drive home turned into one of the darkest moments the entertainment world has ever seen. Yulong, one of China's most promising young actors, is now fighting for his life after a horrific car crash that left fans, colleagues, and the entire nation in shock. And at the center of it all, his longtime partner and co-star, Yangmiemie, now shattered and pleading through tears, her voice breaking as she whispered the words no one ever wants to say, "Please, Yulong, please wake up. Hold on tight, C-drama family." The world of your favorite celebrities is unfolding before your eyes, and every moment is more breathtaking than the last. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications right now, because trust me, you do not want to miss what's coming next. The night of the crash, it was just past midnight when emergency services received the call. A black sedan had collided head-on with a cargo truck on the outskirts of Hangzhou. The impact was so severe that rescuers struggled for nearly 20 minutes to free the driver trapped inside. That driver was Yulong. Witnesses described the scene as heartbreaking. The car was almost unrecognizable, its metal twisted and glass scattered across the empty highway. The truck driver, who survived with minor injuries, reportedly told police, "I saw headlights coming fast. Then, a swerve, maybe to avoid something on the road, and then, everything went black." Moments later, paramedics arrived. When they opened the crushed door, they found Yulong unconscious, his pulse faint. A medic on scene later revealed that if they had arrived even 2 minutes later, he might not have survived the journey to the hospital. The hospital, and the race against time. By the time he arrived at Hangzhou Central Hospital, the news had already leaked. Cameras swarmed the emergency entrance, fans cried in disbelief, and social media exploded with one unthinkable headline: Yulong in critical condition after car accident. Inside the hospital, doctors worked frantically. He was bleeding internally, with multiple fractures, ribs, left arm, and leg, and a serious head injury. He was rushed into emergency surgery that lasted over 5 hours. At 3:47 a.m., the operating room lights finally dimmed. Yulong was alive, but barely. Yangmiemie arrives. The moment that broke hearts at dawn, a black SUV pulled up outside the hospital. Out stepped Yangmiemie, her face pale, her hair disheveled, and her hands trembling as she ran past security. Witnesses say she didn't speak a word, just whispered his name over and over as she rushed toward the ICU. When she reached the glass window separating her from Yulong's motionless body, hooked up to tubes and machines, she collapsed. "Please," she whispered, pressing her palm against the glass. "Please wake up. You promised you'd never leave me." Reporters standing outside the ICU heard her sobbing as nurses gently tried to comfort her. The image, Maymay kneeling by the window, her reflection over his, spread online within minutes. And that image shattered the internet. The world reacts by morning, #PrayForYulong had over 200 million views. Celebrities, co-stars, and directors flooded social media with messages of support. "He's strong. He'll fight through this. Director Lin Zhou Yulong is one of the kindest souls I've ever met. Please, everyone, pray. Actress Chen Shui Maymay, stay strong. We're all with you." Actor Lu Ren fans gathered outside the hospital holding candles, photos, and handwritten notes. Some knelt in prayer. Others simply stood in silence. One message left by a fan read, "You taught us to dream, to believe, to never give up. Now it's your turn, Yulong, don't give up on us." The disturbing twist: hours later, police confirmed that Yulong had been driving alone, but they also discovered something unusual. His car's onboard system showed he had abruptly swerved seconds before the crash, as if to avoid another vehicle that fled the scene. Authorities are now investigating the possibility of a hit and run. The revelation only deepened the pain, and the questions. Who was on that road? What really happened in those final moments before the crash? Inside the ICU, Maymay's unbreakable vigil for the past 24 hours, young Maymay hasn't left the hospital. She refuses interviews, eats almost nothing, and spends every possible minute by Yulong's side. Nurses have seen her holding his hand, whispering softly, "You still owe me a dance. You still owe me a sunrise. Please, wake up." Doctors have confirmed that while Yulong remains in a coma, his brain activity shows slight responsiveness, a flicker of hope in an otherwise grim situation. That faint heartbeat, that fragile rhythm, has become the symbol of hope for millions watching. Fans worldwide unite across the globe. Fans have started digital prayer circles. At 8 p.m. Beijing time, thousands joined a live stream, lighting candles, playing Yulong's music, and leaving messages of love. In one deeply emotional moment, a fan played a clip of Yulong's own words from a 2023 interview. "If one day I fall, I hope people don't cry for me. I hope they believe I'll stand again." The comment section flooded instantly. "We believe, Yulong. Please stand again. Fight, Yulong. We're waiting." The scene that broke everyone late tonight, a video surfaced from inside the hospital chapel. It showed Maymay alone, on her knees, clasping her hands tightly as she prayed through tears. The soft hum of machines could be heard faintly in the distance, echoing through the sterile halls. "I don't care about fame," she whispered. "I don't care about the world. I just want him back." And in that raw, painful moment, it wasn't a celebrity story anymore. It was a love story caught between life and death. The latest update as of this hour, hospital officials have confirmed that Yulong remains in critical condition but is showing small, encouraging signs of stability. Doctors are cautiously optimistic but warn that the next 48 hours will determine everything. Outside, fans continue their vigil, chanting softly, holding signs that read, "Wake up, Yulong. We're waiting." And inside, beneath the soft hum of machines, Maymay still sits by his side, her fingers wrapped around his, whispering the same plea that has become the heartbeat of an entire nation: "Please wake up." The moment the world held its breath inside the ICU, where machines hummed like slow, steady heartbeats, Maymay had been sitting in her usual spot, head bowed, fingers interlocked with his. The exhaustion on her face was unmistakable. She hadn't slept properly in 3 nights. Her voice had become hoarse from whispering prayers that seemed to vanish into the sterile air. And then, it happened. Her thumb brushed over his hand, just as she always did, and this time, he responded. His fingers tightened. Barely. Weakly. But enough to stop her heart. "Yulong," she gasped, standing up, her eyes filling with sudden tears. "Yulong, can you hear me?" For a moment, there was no answer, just the rhythmic beeping of the heart monitor. But then, in the faintest flicker of motion, his eyelids trembled. Doctors rushed in. Nurses moved quickly, checking his vitals. The monitor's lines grew stronger, steadier. And Maymay, standing there frozen, her hands over her mouth, began to cry, not out of fear this time, but relief so overwhelming it broke her voice into quiet sobs. "He's fighting," she whispered. "He's really fighting." Outside, the news spreads like wildfire. The hospital lobby erupted first. Then the street outside. Then the entire internet. #Yulong moved exploded across every platform within minutes. Fans who had been holding candles through the night burst into tears as live streams captured the moment. Security guards stepped out of the hospital to confirm the news. He showed a response. Doctors are hopeful. In Beijing, in Seoul, in Los Angeles, fans gathered in groups, hugging each other, crying as if a family member had just come back from the edge. One tweet read, "You can't imagine the sound I made when I read the update. He moved. He moved." Another wrote, "It feels like the whole world just started breathing again." Inside the ICU, the emotional awakening hours later, Yulong's condition stabilized. Doctors announced that while he remained unconscious, his brain activity had increased, signs that his body was responding to external voices, especially Maymay's. They allowed her back in. The lights in the ICU were dim. The machines still sang their mechanical lullabies. She sat beside him again, holding his hand, tears glistening under the sterile glow. "It's me," she whispered. "I'm still here. We're all here. You can rest, but don't let go, okay? You promised me that dance. For a moment, nothing. And then, a faint tear rolled down Yulong's cheek. The nurse standing nearby froze, then whispered, "He heard you." That single tear, caught on camera by a journalist through the ICU glass, would later become the image seen around the world, a silent miracle that spoke louder than any statement.